Hey everyone, and welcome. So if you're looking to build a career in tech, especially anything that touches data, there's this one skill that is an absolute game changer: SQL. Over the next few minutes, we're going to break down exactly what it is, why it's so important, and most importantly, how you can actually get started on mastering it. Let's dive in.
Okay, so here's our game plan. First up, we'll look at why SQL is your golden ticket to some incredible career opportunities. Then, we're going to talk about a tool we all know, the spreadsheet, and why it just doesn't cut it for big data. After that, we'll get into the real heart of it, what SQL actually is. And finally, we'll wrap up with your personal 50-day mission to become an SQL pro.
All right, let's kick things off with the big one. Why on earth should you spend your time learning SQL? Well, the short answer is opportunity. Plain and simple. In the entire world of data, SQL really is the key that opens almost every door.
And honestly, this quote just says it all, doesn't it? Mastering SQL isn't just about adding another line to your resume, it's about building a legitimate, solid career path. It tells people you're serious about working with data.
And just think about who uses this stuff. It's not just one niche role. You've got data engineers building massive data pipelines, data analysts hunting for business insights, and data scientists creating predictive models. You know what they all have in common? They all speak SQL. It's like the universal language for anyone who works with data.
And here's the real bottom line, especially if you're on the job hunt. If you want to work at a top tech company, you will face an SQL interview. It's often the very first technical test they throw at you. So being able to nail that confidently, that's a massive advantage that puts you ahead of the pack right from the start.
So, that brings us to a tool we all know and, well, we all know it, the spreadsheet. Look, Excel is awesome for small stuff, right? It's easy, it's visual. But the moment your data starts to grow, you hit a wall, a very hard wall. And that's a totally fair question, isn't it? If we have this simple tool that works for our to-do lists and basic budgets, why bother learning a whole new language? Well, it all boils down to one simple, powerful word: scale.
You know, you can think of it like this. A spreadsheet is like a bicycle. It's great for getting around the neighborhood. A database, though, that's a rocket ship. Spreadsheets have a hard limit on how much data they can hold, they get incredibly slow, and trying to do complex analysis is just tedious. Databases, on the other hand, are built for one thing: handling huge amounts of data with mind-blowing speed.
And to put a real number on it, that's it. A little over 1 million rows. That is the absolute hard-coded maximum in Excel. Now that might sound like a lot, but in today's world of data, it's tiny. And here's the real kicker. Your computer will probably freeze and crash long before you ever get close to that limit.
So the takeaway here is pretty clear. For small, simple tasks, a spreadsheet is your friend. But the moment you start dealing with professional-level data, you need a professional-level tool. You need an engine built for the job. And that engine is a database.
Okay, so we know we need a database, but how do we actually talk to it? How do we ask it to find things for us or give us answers? Well, that's where we get to the good stuff: speaking the language of data.
So first, let's just get on the same page about what a database is. At its heart, it's just a really organized system for storing information in tables. You can almost picture a single database as a giant folder that holds thousands of interconnected spreadsheets, all with their own neat rows and columns.
And this right here is where SQL steps in. SQL, which stands for Structured Query Language, is not the database itself. This is super important. It doesn't hold any data. It's simply the language, the specific set of commands you use to talk to the database. It's how you say, hey, go get me this, or please update that record.
Just think about it like this. The database is this super powerful expert, right? But it's a specialist. It only speaks one very specific language. You can't just walk up and ask it in plain English, hey, show me all the sales from last month. It would have no idea what you're talking about.
That's the whole secret. It understands SQL. Learning SQL is literally like learning the native language of your data. It lets you have these incredibly precise and powerful conversations to get the exact answers you need right when you need them.
Okay, so by now, you're probably on board. SQL is a big deal. But the next logical question is, how do I actually learn this stuff? So let's stop talking theory and lay out a real, actionable plan. We're not just setting a vague goal here. We're kicking off your 50-day mission.
You know, any big challenge feels way less intimidating when you break it down into smaller pieces. So structure your learning like this. Spend the first 20 days just nailing the basics. Then, the next 15 days, you can move on to intermediate stuff like joins, that's how you link data from different tables, and then use the final 15 days to tackle the advanced topics. See? This approach turns a giant mountain into a few totally climbable hills.
Now, I know the idea of setting up a technical environment can sound a little scary, but I promise you, it all really just boils down to two key pieces of software that have to work together. That's it.
First, you've got the server. The easiest way to think about this is like the engine of a car. It's the powerhouse in the background that does all the heavy lifting, storing the data, managing it, keeping it safe. Then you've got the IDE. Think of this as your car's dashboard and steering wheel. It's the friendly interface where you actually write your SQL code and hit the Go button to tell the engine what to do.
Now, you're going to hear a bunch of different names thrown around. MySQL, PostgreSQL, SQL Server. Don't let that confuse you or freak you out. Here's the most important thing to remember. While they each have tiny little differences, the core SQL language is about 95% the same across all of them. So if you learn one, like MySQL, you pretty much know them all.
So, there you have it. A clear why, a simple what, and a structured how. The path to a real data-driven career is literally right in front of you. The only question left is, your 50-day mission starts now. Are you in?